Netflix just dropped its third season of its anthology, Love, Death, and Robots. Are there more hits or misses in this third season? Billy here, and I'm going to review and rank every episode from Season 3. Let's get to it. 3 Robots, Exit Strategies. 3 robots walk into the post-apocalypse and take a whirlwind tour of humankind's last attempt to save itself. The second episode of 3 Robots, the only sequel to any of the previous shorts, Exit Strategies continues the hilariously raunchy and macabre robots from Season 1. This time they're focused on class, government, and environmental issues. And the writers were pretty heavy-handed with their message. Traveling to 3 different locations, our trio talk about normal people reverting back to our primal need, gun-obsessed, and our downfall was because we hunted all animals larger than a cat to extinction. Next up, tech millionaires, who moved into some man-made building island in the middle of the ocean, reminding me a bit of that Tom Cruise film Oblivion. These tech millionaires planned on living on fish and ocean greens, but unfortunately the ocean was overfished and is saturated with microplastic. It also happened to be the site of the initial robot uprising, with this hologram bartender basically saying to F off. Last was the 1% who attempted to launch themselves into space, and even had a handy button to let them burn any non-super rich person from attempting to jump the gate. Did have a nice surprise at the end with the return of the cat, who made it to Mars, full Elon Musk reference and all. Review: I don't think Exit Strategies is anywhere close to being as good as the original 3 Robots. Yeah, get your messages in, Hollywood and Netflix, I get it. Gun owners lubricate guns with the tears of liberals, and the rich spend their money on everything but saving the environment. 2 out of 5. Bad. I honestly didn't find it funny. A typical sequel, not landing the mark of what made the original great. The message here is humans or people don't learn from their mistakes, but it just came off way more preachy than funny to me. Bad traveling. Release the Thanapod. A ship's crew member sailing alien oceans strikes a deal with a ravenous monster of the deep. Directed by David Fincher and based on a short story by Neil Asher, and this one's produced by Blur Studio, who worked on the 2 recent Sonic films, as well as many video game cinematics. And speaking of video games, this one also includes famous video game voice actor Troy Baker as Torin, who I'm not actually sure which character that was, but he's in there. We join a crew of sailors on an alien world or planet who have the unfortunate luck of meeting a Thanapod, a giant monster crab, who makes its way aboard the ship and below deck. The crew runs the short straw game to see who has the unfortunate luck of going downstairs and checking out what's going on. Our main protagonist gets bullied by the big guy to actually go down and investigate, even though it was the big guy who drew the short straw, thus leading us to a meeting between monster and human. But this monster crab is actually able to communicate with the hero via the good old Independence Day wrap around the neck trick. The monster wants meat, and to be taken to a specific island that will be full of meat people. What plays out between the crew is pretty dark. They vote on which island to actually go to, the one the Thanapod requested, or an empty one that the hero suggests, where there's no people, eventually leading to our protagonist rowing off alone after a fiery end to his ship and crew, who all became food for their diabolical actions. Review: bad traveling tackles survival and humanity in a way that really leaves you a bit uncomfortable, but that being said, 4 out of 5, great. Do you do the right thing or do you focus on survivability? A dark tale that had me glued to the screen the entire time, and left me feeling as if I just watched a full-length feature film. While maybe not the happiest of endings, it was a satisfying one and even included a nice twist. Mental note to check out more of Neil Asher's works. The very pulse of the machine. When an exploratory mission to a Jovian moon ends in disaster, the lone survivor must begin a perilous but mind-expanding journey. This is the story of a lone surviving astronaut on Io, one of the moons of Jupiter. After a fatal crash, only Martha Cable's son is left alive. An unfortunate leak in her own oxygen tank requires her to hook up and drag the deceased body of her friend Burton. First, due to injuries and then exhaustion, Martha pumps herself with drugs while attempting to walk the 41 kilometers back to her ship before she runs out of oxygen. Things start getting weird after she starts to hallucinate because of the drugs. Her dead friend starts speaking to her and she starts seeing things on this moon in one last effort to keep her consciousness alive, and being persuaded by this robot moon that is now communicating to her through the brain of Burton, Martha jumps into some strange liquid, and the short ends with her communicating to Earth Station, leaving it up to the viewer if this is her for real or her consciousness being sent through space. Review: the very pulse of the machine was an odd one that I didn't particularly enjoy. The visuals were actually pretty great. They look to be CGI with a layer of what looks like hand-drawn animation, or at least attempting to mimic that. The rest, I didn't like so much. The story was odd. Essentially, this astronaut runs out of time and oxygen and dives into this weird acid lake, because why not? I think this premise could work, but the problem is it's too short. Martha needed more time to develop and more time for me to latch on and actually care about her character. A full-length film, for example, would have time to visit her backstory, possibly some past relationships, a reason to keep on living. I just never latched onto this character who decided, F it, let's go on a trip. 2 out of 5. Bad. A majority of my issues really came from the character and portrayal of Martha. I hated the voice actress choice.
This is Martha Kivelson. IO Expeditionary Mission. Do you read Orbital?
She really took me out of it, as I felt the voice didn't fit the character and her actions. It didn't help that the lip syncing also felt off. The very pulse of the machine attempted to feel deep, but it didn't work out for me. Not enough there to have me feeling anything at the end. Night of the Mini Dead. A bit of unholy cemetery sex ends badly, kicking off a worldwide zombie plague. It's the cutest apocalypse you'll ever see. We have a late-night cemetery sex disaster resulting in zombies, and we run the whole history from invasion to post-apocalypse survival to mutated zombie monsters, and finally end with the nuclear destruction of Earth, all from a tilt-shift perspective, which makes everything look small and far away. And also sped up to make everyone sound like chipmunks. Review. Night of the Mini Dead was short, but okay. Zombies are still played out for me, but it was well done. Some blood and gore mixed in with hilarious situations. 3 out of 5. Good. It's short and sweet, but doesn't overstay its welcome. Nothing special, but okay for a couple laughs, even though I'm really tired of zombies. Kill Team Kill. US Special Forces are trained to neutralize any threat, even a cybernetic killing machine created by the CIA. Their secret weapon? A sense of humor. A team of spec ops on a mission wind up running into basically a Terminator grizzly bear. Cussing, jokes, blood, and nearly non-stop action for 11 satisfying minutes. Great, nearly amazing animation from Titmouse, who worked on The Legend of Vox Machina. You can really tell what they do with a solid budget and time. I love the look, and I think it actually would make for a great video game. Voice acting in the comedy was great too. Joel McHale, Seth Green, and Spike Spiegel himself, Steve Blum, all lend their voices. Review. My first 5 out of 5. Amazing. I loved Kill Team Kill. G.I. Joes for adults. Even with the exorbitant use of the Honey Badger reference, they still landed. Not much to say here in terms of story or any deeper meaning, just a great action-packed time that once again doesn't overstay its welcome. Swarm. 2 human scientists study the secrets of an ancient alien entity, but soon learn the horrible price of survival in a hostile universe. A doctor befriends and convinces an alien race to let him enter and study the Swarm, a race of robotic-like space insects, who created their own self-sufficient colony. While inside, the Doctor meets another human, Dr. Mirny, voiced by Rosario Dawson, but of course Dr. A has an ulterior motive, to steal an egg to produce a queen of his own, all in the name of human expansion. Review. Another Blur studio production, this time directed by Tim Miller, and based on a novelette by Bruce Sterling, Swarm did not hit for me. 2 out of 5, bad. Not quite a happy story, as the humans here were the bad guys, as we're ever longing for more power and expansion. The short ends pretty abruptly, with Dr. Egg being given a choice to use his DNA to crossbreed with another alien race. He can do it of his own will and live with intelligence for a while, or simply be cloned if he decides to kill himself. The Doctor accepts the hive mind's challenge and vows that the human race will not become parasites. The Swarm is happy he can still have conversations with him, then it just abruptly ends. I don't know, maybe the novelette is better. It had great animation, but was overall forgettable. Mason's Rats. Welcome to the Ratocalypse. Farmer Mason knows he has a real pest problem when they start shooting back. Bloody hell. An old Scottish farmer, voiced by Craig Ferguson, has a rat problem in his barn. The issue? These rats have evolved near human-like qualities. They have a little society and fight back with weaponry of their own. It seems to be medieval, but actually evolves past that. Mason hires a pest control company who provides robots. The first bunch failing, and the second a crazy scorpion bot. When we finally see the battles, it's reminiscent of the future scenes from Terminator. Scrappy little humans, or in this case rats, fighting against cybernetic giants. Review? I loved Mason's Rats. 5 out of 5, amazing. Great action and comedy, amazing animation. Mason's Rats was like Pixar for adults. Nothing too deep here, other than an acknowledgement of respect. In vaulted halls entombed. Modern Warfare meets Elder Gods. A Special Forces squad on a hostage rescue mission finds themselves trapped in a prison containing an age-old evil. So a Spec Ops team makes their way into a cave while on a hostage rescue mission. They fight crazy spider bugs with faces that swarm and tear through humans. The last 2 survivors meet some chained-up elder god who demands that they release him. This drives the Sarge crazy, and the other surviving soldier has to take him out. And we later see her walking through the desert, mumbling words in some evil tongue with her eyes carved out from the knife she holds. Creepy. Review. I didn't really feel much for this one other than dread. 3 out of 5 though. It had good action, and the CGI actually looks great until I started looking just a little bit closer. The animation, especially on the face and lip syncing, just looked a little bit odd, but I think this could be the base for a really cool eldritch horror action flick. The short itself was just okay, nothing too memorable, nothing too deep here. Jibaro. A deaf knight and a siren of myth become entwined in a deadly dance, a fatal attraction infused with blood, death, and treasure. A knight company has the unfortunate luck of running into a siren, a mythical creature that lures humans to their death by her voice, in this case driving them crazy with what looks like bloodlust into her watery domain. All but one survive, a knight who is actually deaf and can't hear the siren song. Enamored with a human that is not affected with her ability, she finds and spends the night with him while he passes out in the forest. The attraction seems pretty deadly because she's covered with jewelry and deadly gold that leaves blood everywhere when touched. But the good old knight knocks her out and pulls off all the gold coins off her body. All does not work out for the knight, as you would expect, as the lake turns red with blood and he miraculously gains the ability to hear, driving him mad and right back to the siren's hands. Review. Jibaro was really strange. I understand the myth of sirens, and how one being attracted to a deaf person who is not affected by her song is a great concept, really. Everything else about Jibaro was just odd. The animation was really awkward, the knight had me confused. I have never seen a knight before depicted with tribal tattoos, piercings, and makeup. I get that this is fantasy, but his look really just took me out of the short. 2 out of 5. Bad. Like I said, I don't really get this one. Does the knight knock out the siren and steal all her gold for greed? If so, he got what's coming for him, I guess, right? It could have been for revenge, as she did bring his entire party to their death, but if that's the case, why let the siren win in the end? I was hoping they saved the best for last, but this was my least favorite of all of Season 3. Let's talk about Season 3 as a whole. Well, Season 3, Love, Death, and Robots, was filled with highs, lows, and everything in between. Let's first go with my ranking, starting at the bottom. Number 9, Jibaro. This one was weird and I thought visually looked pretty bad. Number 8, The Very Pulse of the Machine. I don't think this story works well as a short. It would be better as a film. Bad voiceover too. Number 7, Swarm. I found nothing redeeming with this story. A bad human has a worse fate, although it looked pretty good. Number 6, 3 Robots, Exit Strategies. This one was really my biggest disappointment. The original 3 Robots is so good and so funny. This one had too much of an agenda and just really wasn't funny at all to me. Finally, the good ones are coming. Number 5, In Vaulted Halls Entombed. Decent action and dread, but not much else. Shout out though to Joe Manganiello. Number 4, Night of the Mini Dead. Short and sweet, but zombies, which have been pretty overplayed. The tilt shift angle was awesome too. Number 3, Bad Traveling. Fantastic and really quite a dark story. It made me forget I was watching a short. I think it would be a great full-length film. Number 2, Kill Team Kill. All around amazing. One of my only 2 5 out of 5s. Hilarious, amazing action, and some of the best animation we see in Season 3. Number 1, Mason's Rats. Adult Pixar, anyone? This action comedy was simply amazing. It was funny and even referenced The Terminator, which is always a thumbs up in my book. Season 3 overall review? So overall, it's a shame the longest shorts were at the bottom of my ranking, except for Bad Traveling. And side note, when you look at each episode's runtime, take about 2 minutes off for intro and ending credits. Luckily though, Season 3's highs were pretty damn high. I give Season 3 an overall score of 3 out of 5. Good with some really standout episodes. Remember, they're all unrelated shorts anyway, so take the overall season review any way you like. You saw which ones I enjoyed, and those are the ones that I recommend. But if you want to watch everything, they're short enough that you can do so. As I haven't watched the first 2 seasons yet, as I mentioned at the top of this video, I'm excited to go back and go through all of them. Once I'm done with that, look for an overall ranking of every single short in this series, so subscribe for that video. Feel free to agree or disagree with me in the comments. Until next time, see ya.